My name is Simeon Oriko. I'm the Director of Community at the Goodluck Foundation. It is absolutely an honor to have you all here. I would like to see, by a quick show of hands, those of you whom it is your first time at a Goodluck event, in person, not virtual. By a show of hands. Actually, if you don't mind, could you please stand up? Everyone who's, look at that, everybody. Oh, that's amazing. Excellent. It is. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us. That is an impressive number. And throughout the day, we'll make sure you know who all these people are and make sure you get to know each other. For those of you guys who it is your first time, this is an exceptionally friendly community. We love each other. We like new people. So we're really pleased to have you join us here. This week is packed with lots of excitement. And I just want to go over a couple of logistics for all of you. You're probably wondering who that person is across the room, or I've been in the Zoom call with this person, but I'm not sure if that's the same person, or I wonder who he works for or who she works for. I will put your anxiety at ease. If you go to the Goodluck website, and if you go to the event page for this event, which is where you signed up to register, this is goodluck.io. There's a nice little banner that says the Lusaka meeting. And you click and go straight to the event page. We have an attendee list. We have made the attendee list public, so you're able to click through and download a list of all the people who are with us here. You will see their names, their designations, the companies they work for, just so that you're able to plan who you want to talk to and when. And just in case you're wondering what opportunity you will have to speak with them, later this evening, we have a cocktail reception that will be downstairs. That would be an excellent place to just mingle, speak with people, network and connect. So please do plan to be there. Don't just go off to your room and hide behind your laptop. Please join us. It should be a great event. And then also to immortalize this really important event, right at the close of business today at 5 p.m., we will all take our group picture. So please don't stay off right at the end of the day. Please wait for instructions. We'll tell you where to take a picture, just so that we can all remember our good time together. Excellent. A few more logistical items. Most of you should already be logged onto the Wi-Fi. I can tell because no one has come to me to complain that they can't get on the internet. But just in case you're one of the people who are worried, if you go to your Wi-Fi settings and choose the Radisson, a pop-up will come up and you will have the option to click through the Goodluck meeting. Click on that. You will be on the fastest Wi-Fi in Lusaka, I promise you. So get on that. Logistical items, we've got washrooms. If you haven't figured it out, the men is through that door, the ladies is through that door. Once you go through those doors, just look at the back. You should be able to see those there. So at this point in time, after heartily welcoming all you folks, just in case you're wondering, I think we have a total of 140 people in the room. That's a huge number. I think that's our largest number at the community meeting. So really great to have you all here. At this point, I would like to welcome the Executive Director of the Goodluck Foundation, that is Paula Hunter, to give her opening remarks. Paula.
Thank you, Simeon, and welcome everyone. One of the things that's hardest to do is predict how many chairs do we need for each event. And we are always hopeful that we need more chairs than the last time. So I'm delighted to see that there's almost no vacant chairs here today. We're happy to bring more in if we have additional participants. But thank you so much for registering and making your way to this event. We also have quite a few people online that are not able to join us today, but we're delighted that you took the effort to come, and I hope it's worth your while. I have a brief set of remarks. What I wanted to do today was reinforce our mission to increase financial inclusion by empowering organizations creating interoperable payment systems to enable digital financial services for all. So that's our reason for being as a foundation. But in order to achieve that mission, We're very dependent on the support and contributions of our community members, and you are all now officially members of our community. A lot of folks think of open source communities as just developers, but we recognize the fact that it's very important to have a very mixed representation across the ecosystem of business people, technical people, payment specialists, central banks, hub operators, because you all bring value to this community, to our learning, and to our ability to advance the work of Mojaloop. So thank you all for participating. Some of the things that we're really focused on as far as our programmatic activities include deployments. Obviously, we'll see ourselves reaching the mission of financial inclusion when we see Mojaloop deployed and citizens actively using the infrastructure that Mojaloop enables. So it's a very top priority for us. And you will see in some of the technical work we're doing, it's really focused on making sure that those deployments are efficient and implemented successfully. We also want to make sure that our product continues to evolve and meet market requirements. You'll be hearing from Paul Macon later this week, who is responsible for our product council. And what we want to make sure is that we're continuing hearing the needs and requirements of the marketplace. Yes, there's a set of requirements we work against today, but you're all learning about Mojaloop. You might be coming up with new ideas that we need to address or plug in. So very important to hear your input and feedback on our product and the product roadmap. We also need partnerships to have successful deployments. As most of you probably know, the Mojaloop Foundation does not sell anything, and we do not have a services organization. We partner in the marketplace with systems integrators and other service providers to develop their expertise in helping countries deploy Mojaloop. So we are not in this solo. We're really dependent on many of the people that are here in this room today that help accelerate those deployments and ensure our success as well. So what are we trying to accomplish this week? First of all, we want to learn. We want to hear requirements. We want to hear more of your issues and challenges, particularly from the central banks and hub operators. We want to meet people. And believe it or not, this is one of the first times my entire staff is in the room. So it's a good opportunity for you to meet the Mojaloop staff, but also to meet other partners and collaborators in the community. We want to get updates. So we have a number of work streams that have been chugging along to patch up those feature requirements. So we'll be hearing from the work stream leads this week. We also want to review the product roadmap. As I mentioned, Paul Macon Wednesday morning will be providing an update on our product roadmap. Want to celebrate. Tonight, we want to celebrate your being here, but later in the week, we'll also be celebrating the contributions of community members. And then finally, we want to plan. So right after this, we will start planning for the next event, which will be in March in Nairobi. So we don't have the final date secure yet, but we assure you, we'll let you know as soon as that is locked down. But at least you know the general vicinity where we'll be meeting. Wanted to talk a little bit about Mojaloop, the Mojaloop Foundation, just to clarify, who we are and how we operate. We are a nonprofit corporation, and because of our nonprofit status, all of our work is offered for the public good. As I mentioned, we're not selling products or services. We're delivering the open source platform to the marketplace to use as they like. All of our software is open source licensed, and our operations and staff are funded by grants and other membership income. So again, no product or derived income for the Mojaloop Foundation. We're really very grateful for the folks that fund our operations through grants and membership dues. We also have been expanding our team. I think every convening that I come to, I've got more boxes on this chart. And I'm pleased to say that from a staff standpoint, everyone on this chart from a staff standpoint is on the ground, is here. We also have a broader team in the United States that helps with us a lot of operational activities, marketing, event coordination, and the like. So hope you get the chance to meet some of those folks in the upcoming days. We also have product councils and governance, and I was actually probably remiss in mentioning this on this prior slide, so I'll back up for a moment. Oops. Can I go back? One more. Back one more, please. Yes, there we go. For some reason, my clicker's not working. It's important to understand how we're governed. We're a community-centric organization. We have a board of directors, but we also have a design authority and a change control board, which oversees the which is making sure that our development work adheres to our standards. I'll go to the next slide. And then I mentioned we also have councils. We have the product council, which is critically important in collecting input from the marketplace and refining our roadmap and ongoing work streams. And then we have a marketing steering group that helps us with messaging in the marketplace and developing content that might be relevant for you. The other thing I wanted to point out is on the meeting table out front, was a handful, was probably 50 of these reports. You're welcome to take them. This is not my last copy, but you're welcome to take it from me because I think we may have sold out, so to speak. It's a free report. It's a really interesting report that was prepared by Finos on the business value of open source for financial services firms. I encourage you to read it. It talks about consuming open source, managing risks, and contributing to open source projects, and very helpful and revealing. It's also available free online. So if you don't want to carry a booklet home, you're welcome to download it. So I encourage you to take a look at that. So as we plan for 2024, we're getting towards the end of our year. We're kicking off another increment of work. We'll continue to focus on proof of concepts and launching new implementation projects. So while, yes, we need to develop code, we also need to develop best practices and tools for ensuring that those proof of concepts and implementations are successful. We'll continue to update and evolve our product roadmap and documentation and training. We're very keen on release management, so ensuring that the next release has been well tested and is stable. And of course, we always want to increase our community engagement and partnerships. So it's through events like this, but there's also events across the continent, across the world that we participate to make sure that we're reaching the right folks in our audience. So before I turn it over to Steve, we have a number of dignitaries in the audience that I just wanted to acknowledge. It's thrilling to have so many banks here in the room today, including the Bank of Zambia. We have Deputy Director Muka Madabeko. Thank you for coming. We also have from the Bank of South Sudan, First Deputy Governor, the Honorable Samuel Micaiah. Thank you for coming. We also have, let's see, who else? The Central Bank of Guinea, Director Alpha Diallo. Oh, there he is. Thank you for coming. And a Bank of Mauritania. Actually, I don't think they're here yet, but we'll call them out when they arrive. We also have the CEO of the Bankers Association of Zambia, Leonard Mwanza. I don't see a hand, but welcome. And then finally, the Comesa Business Council, CEO Teddy Subramanian. Teddy? There you are. Thank you. Good to see you again. So I thank all of these special guests to joining us today, but I also thank all of you in the room. I hope you have a very successful week. And if you have any questions or issues, just come see one of the Goodluck team members. We'll be happy to assist. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Steve Haley.
All right. So this is a little bit crazy. I've never spoken in front of this many people at a convening before. And in particular, this many suits. I think anyone who's been here before has realized we normally don't have so many ties. So it's a little bit overwhelming. Absolutely incredible, the number of central bankers who are here, the number of hub operators who are here. And I think that really is a testament to the growth of this entire concept of inclusive instant payment systems that is growing around the world. And so very excited about this week of learning together, but also, I mean, I hope everyone can be a little bit patient with us as we've been doing it a certain way for the past couple of years, and it's exciting to see how much attention and interest there is. But as we reshape these convenings to make sure we fit a pretty diverse group of people. I mean, everyone from developers to a deputy governor of a central bank are here in the same room to talk about how do we make instant payments inclusive. And that's pretty exciting. So with that, I've got a slide I'd like to show, I think. All right. We introduced this, we call the pillars. I think it was about 2 or 3 convenings ago to give us a little bit of focus around where we want to really direct most of our attention. We have these objectives that Paula has set out for us for driving adoption and improving the product. And I think what we've really tried to do to make sure that we're much more market focused is listen to what we've been hearing are the challenges that we want to focus on. And so we've come up with these 3 pillars. So from what I saw of who stood up, I think about half of you have seen this before, but you will see this as we go through the week. And as Paul addresses the product roadmap, you'll see these 3 pillars come up over and over again. So I want to introduce them and make sure everyone understands what they mean. So first, making adoption easier. What that means is that actually adopting Moduloop, implementing Moduloop, installing Moduloop, understanding what Moduloop is, has been a significant challenge for people over the years. And so one of the main focuses we have is trying to make sure that that's not as difficult. So it's around improving our documentation, it's around developing POCs, it's around developing materials that help people understand what Moduloop is, not just the hub operators, the central banks, but the entire ecosystem around it. But it's also around the hardware and the infrastructure. How do we install Moduloop in an easier way for whatever your choice, whether it's an on-prem with this configuration or that? All of that should be making adoption easier. So you can get to transaction number 1 as soon as possible. And so that's what this is about. How do you get to your first transaction? The second thing is achieving scale. And that's how do you get to your 10 billionth transaction? And we throw out that number of billion, and a lot of people say, well, we're not China, we're not India. But 1 billion transactions happen in your country. Far more than 1 billion transactions happen in most of your countries every year, but those transactions are in cash. So how do we make sure that as many of those transactions as possible get digitized? Not just traditional bank transactions. As many transactions that are currently in cash get digitized as possible. And so that's what achieving scale is. So for that one, what we focus on are particular use cases that we think are going to drive scale. And the main ones for that are merchant payments. I think people have been talking about P2P payments on instant payments for, especially in this region with mobile money, for a long time. And there's been a lot of success on P2P. But really, the majority of those billions of transactions in cash that are happening in merchant payments. And then even P2P, and I'll give you an example. Actually, the day before I flew here, I had to get my business cards delivered, and the guy who was delivering it didn't have change. All I had was the equivalent in rupees of about a $4 bill, and I needed to pay him I think it was about 80 cents. And he just said he had no change. It was very easy for me to say, do you take UPI? And he said, yes. He whipped out his QR. I scanned a QR. I gave him the 80 cents, and he was very happy to receive it. And so making sure that that P2P is even that ubiquitous, that easy, that it's easier than counting out change to every single human being in your country. So those are the kinds of things we want to focus on, is making those use cases so much easier, so ubiquitous that we can focus on not just remittances, not just domestic remittances, not just cross-border remittances, but all the merchant payments, all the cash transactions, the micro transactions that are happening on a daily basis. And the last thing is connecting to other systems. The Moduloop that you implement in your country should not be a standalone thing. It's got to be able to connect into other systems. So first and foremost, it's got to be able to connect into cross-border systems because cross-border payments are incredibly important. Remittances, and we also eventually hope cross-border merchant payments. I'd say most people in this room very often, I would be willing to bet everyone in this room travels relatively easily because we have a Visa or MasterCard. We can afford to work in the card system, but we want to make sure that people who are not necessarily carrying a Visa and MasterCard eventually can have that same experience. When they travel, just using whatever wallet or bank they have from your country and they go to another country, they can actually pay for the hotel, they can pay for a taxi, they can pay for coffee, just using their domestic wallet from another country. That's where we're trying to get to. Then it's also connecting to other domestic systems. So a payment system doesn't exist in isolation. It's got to be connected into your identity system. It's got to be connected into your national registries. All of your digital public infrastructure has to be interoperable with each other. So those are the two main focuses that we have on connecting to other systems: cross-border payments and connecting to other digital public infrastructures. And so again, you'll see those as we go through this week. Because we finally have some amazing, like great representation from the market, from central banks and hub operators in the room, feel free to challenge us on this. We came up with this to serve you better. But if this is something you're saying, you know what, those are not our priorities, come talk to me. I would love to hear if we need to refocus. So that is my big call out to the people in the room who are actually representing market actors. Let us know if this is not correct. And then finally, actually, I should say the quality product. That should always be the foundation of making sure that Mojaloop is a quality product that serves your needs at scale. I mean, achieving scale is how do we make sure that there's a demand for 1 billion transactions, digital transactions in your country. The quality product is making sure that your hub can actually keep up with that and keep your costs down as low as possible. Okay, I think before we go back, sorry, last one slide, sorry. So for the rest of the day, I'm going to take you through the story that we had planned to have. Actually, first, a show of hands. How many people's flights arrived on time when they got here? How many people had a problem with their flight coming here? Okay. Unfortunately, there are a large number of people who can't tell us that their flight had a problem because they're still in the air on their way here. So we had a day planned out for you. There's been a lot of last minute changes because unfortunately, there are currently, I think, about 5 central bankers in the air trying to get here. One of them in particular has been trying to get here for 3 days. And so when he comes, let's all give him a great welcome. But we are incredibly excited that people are making that big of an effort. But unfortunately, our day is a little bit out of whack. So the idea of the day, though, is first, we want to have a conversation with central bankers around what defines an inclusive instant payment system. You guys supervise a lot of payment systems. What's the definition of inclusive, and what differentiates an inclusive instant payment system from one that is not inclusive, one that's exclusive? That was supposed to be our first panel, but we're going to move that to the end of the day to make sure that our guests have a chance to speak. The next is to say that building an inclusive payment system is not easy. We're talking about trying to reach the hardest to reach people, the most expensive to reach people, with very innovative products that make their lives easier, and we have to do it for free. So that's an incredibly big challenge because the people we're trying to reach can't afford high fees, or free or as close to free as possible. So that's a major challenge, and that's a major challenge for the hub operators. So very often, no offense to the central bankers in the room, it's very, hey, we've got this great idea. We want to offer these inclusive payments, and we want to make it as low cost as possible. And the hub operators have to say, how am I going to do that? So we're going to hear from hub operators in the panel to see some of their challenges of being able to offer that. And to address some of those challenges, we have a few programs that we run, and a few people in the room have worked on those programs, which is bringing together and doing an education, knowledge building, and ecosystem building for all of the stakeholders in your market about what does that mean to have an inclusive payment system? Because you can't just drop in a payment system and expect everyone's going to automatically use it. There's a great quote, something about if you build something together, everybody's already there. And so what we're hoping for is that through these 2 programs, the proof of concept programs that we have and the accelerator program, between the central bank, the hub operator, the financial institutions, and all of the tech companies and fintechs that serve your market, they all understand and have a common language and a common understanding of what is an inclusive payment system, what are the objectives by the time you kick off your project. And that way you're building it together. And when it's done, everybody's already there. And so we're going to hear from our accelerator program here in Zambia with 3 Zambian system integrators. And we're also going to hear from 3 organizations who are doing proof of concepts, and what they're learning from those proof of concepts. So hopefully that kind of gives us an idea of what is an inclusive payment system, what are the challenges, and what are some potential tools to overcome those challenges. So that's the outlook for the day, which then leads into tomorrow, where we talk about the products within Mojaloop that again are trying to address those challenges. So thanks for your attention. With that, next slide. Next. So I'd like to introduce Wale Goodluck, the Deputy CEO of Africanenda, and our extremely close partner at the Mojaloop Foundation, who's working with us across the continent to drive inclusive instant payment systems. So Wale, please, thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. My name is Wale Goodluck. I'm Deputy CEO at Africanenda. Permit me to also recognize my colleagues from Africanenda who are in the room, Michael, Jamelino, Nicholas, and Vanessa. Thank you very much for the support. Africanenda is a wholly funded program of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Our primary objective is to eradicate financial exclusion. We are driven to implement payment systems that are domestic, regional, and ultimately Pan-African. We are committed to eradicating financial exclusion. We subscribe to payment systems that are sustainable, instant and inclusive, secure, have adequate redress systems, inclusive governance, low cost, high volume, low value, open source, gender intentional, and ultimately gender transformational. So in summary, we're committed to the level 1 principles. And because of what we do, we find that Mojaloop is also a significant partner for Africanenda. As we go around Africa at Africanenda promoting payment systems, we find that what Mojaloop offers and what we are selling have a lot of alignment. And because of that, Mojaloop has become a key partner for Africanenda, irrespective of the fact that Africanenda is vendor agnostic, is systems agnostic. We are independent, but a lot of what Mojaloop offers also aligns with us. And permit me to just share. 1, time to market is fundamental for us, and Mojaloop provides a strong bridge to achieve that. Secondly, the development of in-country capacity and support in Africa by Africans is also very important for us at Africanenda. And we find that that resonates with a lot of payment system stakeholders and promoters in Africa, and Mojaloop is able to address that concern. Thirdly, we are committed to digital public goods and ultimately digital public infrastructure at Africanenda. Again, we have a commonality with Mojaloop in that direction. I must also mention that Mojaloop also allows us to work towards developing sustainable payment systems. And when I say sustainable payment systems, I mean payment systems that can afford to pay themselves. When you look at the life cycle cost of implementing a DPG like Mojaloop, you understand very clearly where I am coming from. And it also helps us in terms of some of the concerns we see in different markets regarding very, very restrictive vendor lock-in agreements. We think that Mojaloop also provides a solution for us in that regard. So in closing, I think the principle that Moja Loop is built around in terms of the community principles, the development of skills, the global access of those developments to all the partners and potential implementers and adopters of Moja Loop completely aligns with what we do at Africa NENDA. So on that note, I'd just like to say welcome to everybody. Keep your minds open and let's enjoy the communal gathering. Thank you.